Hi, Sifu. Hi, Amy.
How you doing? Nice to see you.
Likewise.
We have questions today?
Sure.
Hey.
Absolutely. Actually, I don't always come having questions. About an hour ago, I didn't have a question.
Hey, Amy, looking warm there with the hat on and the fire. Wow. No, that's fine.
If you have time, right? I don't want to interrupt your plans. I've really been thinking about and revisiting just the whole overarching understanding and training of our stepping. So I've really been just kind of returning to some of our basics, right? So we understand that we're in our Biu Mar, right? In our Biu Mar stepping. When we're changing directions, our back foot becomes our front foot, right? And so even as stepping, and so I'm just kind of thinking about how all of this kind of becomes into an explanation of application, right? So when we're kind of training it, this is great, right? But in real life application, we're not really thinking, okay, back foot to front foot, right? But we know it is designed to work naturally with our human design, right? With our natural movement. So I'm just kind of really wrestling with how to communicate this and think through a way of having application match the introduction and training of it.
Right. Okay. I'll just mute you for a sec. I've done that. Right. Okay. Well, it's often it makes sense if we look at things in reverse. We haven't, looking at the Biu Mar, then we haven't decided to train Biu Mar as such. We've kind of looked at a position that we might be in, and often we'll kind of allow our weight to be more on one side than the other. So if this is a kind of comfortable stance, I like to think of this as somebody's looked at this, broken it down into some mathematical formula, and then exaggerated that a little bit for us to practice. So we move forward and back. We do our training in the way that we do, angles and so on and so forth. But then when you use the word reality, we're not going to be in this stance, unless it's kind of a challenge and we know what's going to happen. The whole thing is going to be kind of much more relaxed and composed. And that's, sorry, just letting more in. And that's kind of what we're training really. But it's a little bit like if you want to better understand something, then we need to sort of exaggerate that, either by amplifying it or putting it under the microscope. And that's kind of what we're doing here, like with Biu Mar and so on, having these big, huge steps. The purpose of this is just really to allow yourself and gain comfort with that natural kind of flow. There's a lot of this stuff that when we use this, we're not really going to think about it. Like there, as I shuffle back up toward the screen, this is a Biu Mar principle, whether I like it or not. Again, with everything in Wing Chun, we're describing what's just happened. And the fact that I'm moving one foot at a time, I'm not going to hop forwards like a kangaroo. I'm putting one foot in front of the other. Hi, Ibrahim, good to see you. I'm putting one foot in front of the other. There's a gap through my stance. So by definition, this is 1, 2, 3 point stepping. The start, the twist, the intermittent step, and then the finish. So this is your 3 point stepping, your Biu Mar. Biu Mar is just a case of a shuffle, because if there's a lot of distance, this is when why we'll choose one step over the other, or one kind of footwork over another. If somebody is at a distance from me and they begin to step in, then I'm like, whoa, I'll step back. And this is very easy for me, and it's what we practice, our kind of mirror stepping. So I'm going to move back, and it's quite a big move. Same if I was here and somebody moved back, I might step through. I might step, provided I've got range in order to do that. The reason why I say that is because if somebody, remember, you're always in danger when you're in transit. So if somebody is a close threat to me, I don't want to take a big step, making my back foot my front foot, because that takes too much distance. And also just to remind you as well, anyone watching on catch up, sometimes you might see different ways of Biu Mar explained, where we step and then drag, or we scrape and then step. The simple rule of thumb with any footwork is keep your feet as close to the ground as possible, because again, when you're up, you're in danger. So if I'm going to step through, I need to make sure that that person is quite a way away from me, or if they've stepped quite a way in, that would justify me having a big step through. If somebody is only close to me and I want to get a tiny bit closer, I'll shuffle. And that's the principle behind Biu Mar. If somebody shuffles in a little bit, I might shuffle back a little bit. So again, this is, so I know Biu Mar is here and we go forwards, front foot first, backwards, back foot first. But the principle of Biu Mar is in Sambot Mar. We can step all the way through, you know, backwards or forwards. But if I need a shuffle, I can simply move on both rail tracks here, shuffle, both, shuffle. Same going backwards, shuffle. If it needs a bigger step, I'll take the bigger step. If it needs a shuffle, I'll shuffle. And so it's the principle behind this that we need to understand. So that's the key thing. Where am I clicking here? Cool. So that's the key thing that we're looking for there. When we are talking about stepping through and back through, this kind of thing, again, looking at things in reverse can answer a lot of questions. If we look at this textbook and I was here and I said, right, okay, I'm going to step through 90 degrees. My back foot becomes my front foot, but I've gone through this corner, through this right angle, you know? So if I'm going back through 90, my front foot becomes my back foot, and so on. What I'm not going to do is have my front foot stay my front foot, because that seems odd. I'm not going to be here and then try to step in a way that will kind of keep my front foot the same front foot, because there's a skip involved there, or an unnecessary turn. It becomes a bit strange to do that. So technically, we're going to step through. Okay, I get it. Practically, realistically, as you said, why am I doing that? First of all, obstacles is always the best thing. You know, if I'm like, this is my daughter's bed. If I'm stood here chatting to somebody and then I need to get around, obviously that's in the way. I'm going to kick into that bed. So this is why I'm going to use that Biu Mar step in. So now I'm in that position. So that better justifies the reason why I'm going to go forwards as a back through 90. Again, better in reverse. Rather than me kind of thinking, I'm going to move forwards. If I'm going to move forwards, why am I going to move and how far am I going to move? If the threat is moved back a little bit, then I'll use that Sambot Mar, almost shuffle like, just a little bit. It's just a shuffle, really simple. If it's a bigger step and the person's moved further away, then why am I stepping in? If they've stepped much further away, well, in one sense, you could say, well, the situation is over. Why do I need to chase after them and then walk onto a strike? So, you know, that's another reason. So going forwards becomes the first thing that we learn is to go forwards. We tend to use this mentality. And the reason for that is because you can see where you're going. So I can see where I want to put the foot. I can see where I'm going. The practical side, and this is that thing of like, don't think, feel, because we get used to how this looks and we get used to all these shapes and we look for the shape. We look for the shape. But as soon as we can, we need to feel the shape. We need to realize that if somebody steps forwards to us and moves into our space a little bit, I'll move back a little bit. If they step more, I might step back and drag. If they step really quickly close in, whoa, then I might end up, as I step, I'm going to drag my foot up. And this has now become Biu Mar. If I'm pushed, oh, here, and I land, I'm landing in Biu Mar. So I can kick straight away. So what we tend to find is that if I'm going to move forwards, I need to ask myself, why am I moving forwards, and acknowledge there's a threat. It's more likely that I'm going to be moving backwards, as in like to address that range. As I say, if someone steps in a little bit, I move back a little bit. If it's a bigger step, I might step and drag. A bigger step, I might step through, still trying to calm the situation. A quick step, I might step and drag into Biu Mar, or if I'm pushed. So all of these applications of moving backwards are like quick fire necessary reactions. When I'm moving forwards, if I need to close that distance, what my thinking here is I'm going to step forwards because I need to cover a little bit of distance. So maybe I'm going to step and drag a little bit. What I'm not going to do is make it obvious. I don't want to give away that I'm prepared for something. I'm stepping in because I have to step in. So I might step and drag. I might be trying to calm the situation, step and drag. Remembering that rule that when I do step, keep my feet as close to the ground as possible and try not to make any massive moves. I don't want to kind of make it obvious because it's very easy for me then to get hit mid-step. So this is kind of the reason why we have the footwork. I don't know, Nick, if this is helping you, but this is the reason why we have it in this practicality. But often look at it in reverse, look at the realistic element of it. And sometimes if we're talking about angles and 90s and all the rest, think of that as two things. Move around an obstacle is the first thing, and also training your ability to do that, because you need to be in control of your footwork. I hope that makes some sense to you. Is that okay? Or do you want to add to that or have some feedback on it?
I love it. I've never heard of the scraping that you just addressed there in the you talked about in the Biu Mar, the scraping of the front foot. I never heard of that.
Oh, okay. Let me elaborate on that just a tiny moment, if I may. What I want to say about that is, yeah, it's the people sometimes tend to want to put their mark on it, and you know, and they'll have their specific way of doing it, and you know, as I say, some people might talk of like keeping contact with the front foot and step, keep contact and step, or it might be a case of just step and then drag the foot up quickly, step and drag the foot up. I'd like to say neither of them is correct, but I think it's better to say neither of them is necessary. You don't need that extra ridiculous amount of thinking. Just step, step. You know, a very common thing is to slide. Now, if you've got shiny leather-soled shoes on a wooden floor, we can do that all day long. You know, if you've got brand new trainers or sneakers and you're on a thick carpet, you're going to trip up and break your ankle. You know, it's just doesn't work. So again, the simple thing is keep your feet as close to the ground as possible. Step, 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 step. Keep it natural, keep it simple, keep it boring. That works. The example that always comes to mind, I found this really, this is the craziness of some people's thinking sometimes. This was in a magazine about 30 years ago, and the piece was, it said, this is just brilliant. It said, should you find yourself in a bar barefoot and there's a broken glass on the floor? That's a good start, isn't it? Simply brush the glass aside and step up. Brush the glass aside and step up. At that point, I thought, yeah, I don't think so. You know, so it's, as I say, it's like people's idea of this is just, you know, if there's a broken glass or broken, not a broken, but broken glass there, you're not going to be sliding it across barefoot. You know, again, you're going to be tentative and you're going to get back. You're not going to drive forwards through it. So it's a silliness. So that's when I mentioned about the scraping, that's something that you can hear people talking about, and they can use that reference. Keep it simple. It's always simplicity is the key to Wing Chun. You know, otherwise we put too much emphasis, and it becomes that like that blog again of it's just a cigar. You know, it's great to question things, and then sometimes just do it. Just do it. And the more you do it, the more it kind of refines itself. If there's a problem with what you're doing, bring it to the table, definitely, and then we discuss that and we look at it. Again, it goes back to that 50-50 as well. Some things might work better for one person than another. So we encourage you to find what works for you. But yeah, if you're not happy and it's not working or you're not sure, then we question that. Everyone good for to move on? Shall we do some stuff? Great. What do we have? Is that a question? Oh yeah, please hang on. Oh, you've got your. I love that symbol. I never see that. Gosh, you're so cool.
How
Yes.
are you?
Very
I
cool.
saw in model 1 the footwork, and I learned this one.
Yeah.
I want to know when I can use it.
Excellent. Okay, I will mute you, and I'll mention about that as well. Great question. Thanks, Ibrahim. Again, and thanks for the Nick for pointing that out. Again, it's the same principle. If I move forwards a little bit, it's a shuffle, or back, it's a shuffle. If I move forwards and backwards a little bit more, then I might step through Sambok Ma or back Sambok Ma. If I am in this Biu Mar position and I need to cover a lot of distance, the person moves back quickly, then I'm going to step through and put that a little bit lower. So again, the way that I will teach this, and Nick, you might want to try this if you've got somebody and it's their first time. It's an interesting thing to get somebody into the Biu Mar stance. And I'll do this by asking them to stand shoulder width apart, then bend the knees, turn on the heels, twist the shoulders, and just relax into this. So we know the stance, that's fine. If I then say to that person, okay, I'll tell you what, forget it, just come to me. This will always happen. My front foot will always do this. It rolls out. So if I decide, or the beginner, never done Wing Chun, you put them in this stance and then you say, hey, never mind, come here, come here. What you will not do, you will never leave that foot there because you'll trip over it. That feels extremely comfortable. You also won't move it a little bit because you might kick it because you might have bigger shoes. So if you're in this position, if you have, again, some big chunky trainers or sneakers, whatever, on at this point, you're going to want to move that foot out of the way naturally in order to step. Now, the key thing that we look at really is, this is a really good point, Ibrahim. The key thing here is your back foot. The back foot needs to be turned out. So when we do Biu Mar, if I just said here, shoulder width, then turn, bend my knees, turn my shoulders. I will then say to somebody, if you want to relax your foot, front foot, a little bit, let it relax. Don't go straight, don't go out, but it doesn't need to be twisted. So make it relaxed, comfortable. However, the back foot does not change. The back foot needs to be the same. And this is the key thing that we need to understand as well, is that sometimes I'll do a Biu Mar step through, and then give me a thumbs up or down if you think it's correct or not. So from there, I'm going to turn on the heel and I'm going to step through. Thumbs up or down. What have we got? What you got, Amy? Is that Ibrahim? What about you? This is wrong. And the reason why it's wrong is we need to look at this foot. Look at the angle it's turned in, because my Biu Mar looking that way is the same as my Chun Mar, my turning stance, looking this way. And if I do turning punches to you here, my back foot only turns in a little bit, a little bit, a little bit. So that position and that strength, remember we have the strength of the structure going down the back leg. This is a strong position. From the front, I can push, I can resist at the back. So this all becomes strong. If I, in the same way as Tan Sao, if I turn this back foot in more here, it becomes weak from the side. So what we tend to sometimes be, oh, you're back, that's good. I was just saying there, Ibrahim, that when I do turning punches, I'm going to think of my back knee going the same line as the punch. Same. And it has that strength, same as Tan Sao, is strong. If I turn my foot in, it's like turning my Tan Sao in. This now becomes weak from the side. So what I need to be careful of is not thinking just this way. Okay, I'm going here. I'll step through my Biu Mar, going here. And then forget about this, because now I feel like I'm on a tightrope. I'm very strong forwards and back, very weak from the side. So when I step through, I need to make sure it's fully turned out to my position. All right, it's different for everyone else. Then I'll step through. So I'm comfortable here, I can kick, I can do what I need to do. I'll turn that out fully. so I can step through. And again, I'm comfortable. So this back foot position is the same for Biu Mar and the same for me doing turning punch here, this way. So that's why we do that going forwards. Again, if we look at this in reverse, and let's say I'm in a bit of a casual stance, you know, I'm in a position, I'm trying to settle, and then I quickly step back, or I'm pushed back, or somebody chases toward me, whoa, whoa, and I feel that I need to step back. Do you see what happened just then? Where this foot lands, the foot, it will land turned out, because that's going to give you the strength. This is your counterbalance. If I just quickly rush back and my foot landed straight here, again, I'll be on that tightrope. It's very difficult for me. It's the same with Biu Mar. A nice simple thing that we can do is, if you have somebody you can use on this, is to grab hold of each other. So you're in a bit of a grapple. And then what I will ask or what I would say if I'm the beginner, and I would then ask myself at this point to take a big step back, but to know that as soon as your foot lands, I'm going to push against you. And what we get then is they step back, and at no point ever do they land this way, foot straight, because then they feel wobbly and pushed over. So I ask them, big step back, and then I'll push them. Now, and they will land with the foot turned out. Okay, relax. And again, big step back, and I will push you now. And again, the back foot lands turned out. Not only does the back foot land turned out, but what happens to this one? That's now going to be my front foot. So again, I'm pushed and I land turned out, and that one quickly turns over. So I'm going to land, turned out, and this one shuts. Land, turned out. So it's unbelievably natural for you to do that. And if you don't do that, that's when you start to get pushed over. And it's the same again with the Biu Mar. If I'm pushed, I will land with that foot turned out. So I can then drag up. If I don't, I'll fall over. So I'm pushed here. What if I step back again? I don't step back and leave that foot turned out. So I know I'm going to have to land with the foot turned out, but I also know that's a counterbalance. It needs to come back. I land, this one comes back to where it's comfortable. So in order to learn this, we learn it by going forwards first. And as I say, if I'm here and I leave that, then I'm just going to trip over my foot. So that wouldn't be good. I want to just mention something on Biu Mar, because I didn't really follow up on this. I said to you that when to Nick on his question initially on this, is that when we step through, we learn it forwards first, because we can see where I'm going to put this. Like that, and Ibrahim, you just did a mistake there, which is great, because it means that now I can show you. Biu Mar means arrow stepping, because our heels are in a straight line, as straight as an arrow. So anytime I turn, my heels are in a one line. When I step through, or Biu Mar is easier to look at with this. I'll stick with Biu Mar. We go forward, I twist, and then I put my weight on this leg while I see where I want to put that foot down. I twist, and I put my weight here, and I can see where I want to put that foot down. When you go backwards, something strange happens. We tend to forget. Let's see if you can, I want you to imagine a line where my heels are, and you'll see that my feet will go to the other side of this line. My heels will stay on the line, but my feet go from one side of it to the other, because that's where the connection is, my heels. Going forwards, as I say, I can see that. When I go back, what tends to happen is people swing their foot thinking that the line is through the middle of the feet. Now, if I turn on my heel, I'm twisted. So people tend to then turn on the toe. So it's almost like here's the line through my heels. I swing back too far. I know I'm going to be off, so I turn on my toe to get the heels in line. But I'm not being true. I'm making two lines. I'm swinging and turning. And that's because I can't see where I'm landing with that foot. So again, when we start to look at it and then get used to how it feels, When we're going backwards, this is where we need to feel this position. I hope this makes sense. If you watch it back afterwards, it might. So watch where I put my foot now, Ibrahim. Okay, not my heel, but my foot. I'm going to almost put my foot to the side. Then when I turn on this toe, turn on this heel, the toe comes along to join it. I put my foot to the side, and this comes over to join it. So I'm thinking of putting my foot almost to the side, and this comes across to join it. But we don't tend to see that. And Sambok Mar is a big one on this as well. So here's my distance. I want to try and keep this same distance, like 2 train tracks, like so. So again, if I go forwards, I twist, even if, so I'm going to exaggerate this now, watch this. If I shift all my weight across, that's okay because I can see where I want to put the foot down. I twist, my weight goes across, but I can see where I want to put the foot down. One more, I twist, and I move across, and I see where I want to put the foot down. When I go backwards, I shift my weight, and then I feel somewhere to put my foot down. And now I've gone really small. So again, I'm going to try and create that bigger. I step back, I can't see where I'm putting the foot. I put it down, and now again, I've gone really small. So when you're going backwards, we have to almost throw the foot across and the toe comes to it. I throw the foot across and the toe comes to it. Foot across and the toe comes to it. So again, the application is best studied in reverse. The the learning, I should say, of this is best learned forwards. So I can learn the positions and I can see what I'm doing. When I get used to the hips and the upper body facing forwards, I can then try and replicate that by feeling as I go back. So I'm looking to go forwards and I'm feeling to go back. I'm looking to go forwards and whoa, I'm feeling to go back. So when you're pushed, you land and you drag up. So that's a really good point there, Ibrahim. And so I really did want to, thank you, sir. I did want to mention that about the not knowing where you're putting the foot on the way back. Nick, have you just got a question? Yeah.
Yeah, so we're really looking, it's really the principles of all the footwork together that begins to flow into the natural movement. So if I'm actually in, I don't know if you can see my feet, right? So in this position, I'm in Sambok Ma, but if I turn, I'm now in Biu Mar. If I turn this way, I'm in Chuma.
Yiji Kimyan Ma.
Yiji Kimima, sure.
Yeah, but not with the toes turned in, but it's the principle behind it. The fact that you are either, and this is where Sambok Ma comes in, and I kind of describe Sambok Ma as your missing angle, because where at the point when we teach this is we learn to stand straight. You know, okay, yeah, so we have Yiji Kimyan Ma, we get comfortable with this, but it's the principle. As I say, initially we're learning this. The reason for the knees turned in, we focus more on the muscle groups, but we get this feeling of understanding where to redirect that force. So it's like the lights on a runway. As we get more and more comfortable with that, we need this extremity less and less. So I can still be stood upright, but have a lot of downward force and a lot of redirection. I can also look this way and turn. And this is what we call then turning stance. But from here to, let's say, a fighting stance, is Biu Mar is here. So what we've got is either square on, 50-50, or completely in a straight line. Sambok Ma is when we're kind of betwixt and between. So this is the difference. I'm not square, I'm not Biu Mar, I'm in between the two. So I do have one foot in front of the other, but there's a gap through the stance. And like you say, if I look this way, this is a Biu Mar. If I look this way, this is Sambok Ma. If I look this way, this is Chun Ma. If I look this way, Sambok Ma, but I keep my feet and I just look that way with my head, this is now Chun Ma. So we're always playing within the same kind of 5 shapes. The last one being the Hyun Ma, which is the same as Sambok Ma, 3-point stepping, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. But we are traveling to that final point with a circle. And in this case, this is the kind of exception to the rule of what I've just said, because this in its application is best used going forward, where I'm going to circle around someone's leg, bang, and then take the foot away. I'm going to circle around and then go for the trip. But okay, that's a great technique. Wow, well done. What if somebody does that to you? What's the defense? Well, as you circle around my leg, whoa, this is me getting out of it. So the application is me going forward here, and the defense is me trying to scoop out of it. You take my leg, whoa, and I move away. So this is why we have the forwards and the backwards. Ibrahim, when you're doing your Biu Mar, just remember to keep your shoulders facing the direction. And a great, very simple top tip with this is if you're just going to do some shuffling forwards and back, have a opposite guard. So right leg, use your left guard, and that will make sure that your shoulders stay square. If you're training the other side, change your guard. So again, because otherwise when we have the same arm, same leg, it's very easy for us to start. We get a little bit tired and we lift and we twist and we don't recognize that. So that's a big tip. Yeah, Nick.
Sorry, I'm a little tricked. Can you explain how the chuma, the alignment? So the chuma is just the turning of our head.
Yeah, well, talk me through the stepping that you just did a short while ago. So you put one leg forward.
Yiji kimi ma, sambak ma, Biu Mar, sambak ma, yiji kimi ma.
Yep.
Chuma.
Now, okay, stay where you are, but when you start talking again, instead of having your left hand forwards face with your left leg, being Biu Mar, whichever, now put your right hand toward where you are looking, and there's your Chun Mar. So stay there, say hello while you're doing it, and do a few turning techniques, punches.
Here's my Biu Mar. The head's going to turn with the chuma, and I'm going to change that guard. So my hips are not going to change,
Correct.
but my head and my guard is.
Do some turning punches from there for me, please, if you will. Yeah, keep going.
Then Biu Mar punches.
Yeah, stop. So change that now to your Biu Mar. Do some punches. To your Chun Mar. No, forgive me, sorry.
Punches. Biu Mar punches.
Stop there.
Forwards, backwards.
Yeah, stop there. And then look to your right. So we're going to change that to a Chun Mar. Your right hand forwards as well as the turning punch.
So I'm in the Biu Mar. I'm going to go to the right. I'm going to go to the right hand forward.
There you go. Okay. So if you do some turning punches, and then while you're doing that, stop on one of your left turning punches. All right, from there, just say hello so the camera comes onto you. And what I want you to do is to look to your right.
Hello. Turning to my right.
Change your guard.
Biu Mar.
Correct. So, okay, what we can almost do is make it like, instead of me doing my punches, bang, 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 and then deciding, okay, I'm going to turn and Biu Mar punches, you can almost kind of have some Biu Mar and then decide to do some intermittent turning punch. So here's my turning punch. I do a few of these, tan punch, bong, whatever you want to do. And then the hips don't move. And now I'm back to this. So at any point, I can then change because my Chun Mar hips are the same as my Biu Mar. And that's the difference. And again, from this angle, at the moment, I don't know if you can see, but at the moment, I'm sitting toward my back leg. So Biu Mar, Chun Mar. If I look in between the two to the corner and now make my weight 50-50, Sambok Mar. You see? And if I take a Sambok Mar step through toward that corner here, what I've just done is going to Biu Mar to you. So it's quite a bizarre, it's almost like, it's not the right wording, but I almost feel like it's a Rubik's Cube type thing, you know, like a hexagon thing, because, you know, it's just wherever you change, you'll realize you're already in that stance. Now, now we'll go back to that original question, Nick. if we just allowed all of this to be as free as you like, just do whatever you like, make it as natural as you wish and all the rest. If we had done that, then it wouldn't be quite as understood. So initially it's like, we're going to put our stepping and then let's mark out on the floor what we've just done. And we'll realize that we're always following some kind of a grid pattern, a blueprint, some sequence so we can be in one shape or another. If we then take what we kind of do naturally, blah, 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 here I am, and then decide I'm going to break this down, work it more, and then we put it back into our natural ability. So, and that's a little bit like the sense behind hanging your wooden dummy. You know, when you hang the wooden dummy, it should be just a little bit lower than your person. So kind of the arms almost kind of chest height, pointing at chest height. And for that reason, that means that you will have just a little bit of a bend on your knees. So you won't really notice it very much, but that's the best way then. And throughout your training, you've got a constant little bend. So it's at the back of your mind, it's reminding you to have some kind of a stance. If your wooden dummy was hung very tall, then you'd be stood bolt upright as high as you can, tall. And everything you do would have to keep really high, really solid. And it wouldn't fully allow us to be thinking. I'm not suggesting that it's low, so we have that leg workout. I don't mean that. It's just to remind us that we are using our hands and our feet together, because that's what the dummy's for. It's teaching us how to move around our opponent. So that's the best thing. Ibrahim, I've seen some of your stuff on TikTok, and it's your dummy seems fine, I think. So you know the height, it seems okay. So I don't think you have any problems with that. So you do have a little bend on your knees. So that's good. Yes, I'll give you some tips on that. Next time I'll have a little look, and I'll give you some feedback on the dummy work as well, because that could do with a little bit of helpful hints. That's all, you know. So it's not. I'm not saying that it's wrong or anything. Just something to give you some more. Well, right. Well, we've lost Amy at the moment. I hope everything's all right. I know that they had a blackout over the weekend, and we're hoping to get their power on again today. So I hope it's not gone out again. Guys, shall we do a little bit of training? Shall I give you some techniques? Yep. So I'm going to give you some just a little bit of reaction training. All right, also known as virtual sparring. Yeah, and just see what we can do. So as soon as you react, we're straight in, and that's good. And remember as well, Ibrahim, even if I do something and you, I forgot or I didn't react, do something afterwards anyway. Nick, I'm loving that one, getting your yes, putting yourself in a vulnerable position. That's good. So whatever's coming in, some of these are telegraphed, some of these are obvious. Some of these might not be, might come straight down the middle. So remember, if in doubt, get out. You do have that choice. That's it. Ibrahim, do something anyway. Pack now. There you go. Even if there's a 20-second delay. So whatever's coming in, just move. Boom. And also, one of the things as well, Ibrahim, your hands are good there. Your packs are fine. Something that you're just doing a little bit there is trying to make a big move with the feet. Try to remember that the big move with the feet is often better addressed or better received against another big move with feet. Because if somebody's just coming in with a punch, bang, here, bang, straight down, your feet will never be as fast as your hands. You know, and that's the thing. So we pack, whoa, and almost like you're packing. If we do slow motion in this, you'd almost be like the packs out and the movement is afterwards. You might packs out and the stepping is almost afterwards. So don't try to make it too pretty, I guess. You know, not like in the dummy, that kind of thing. So allow yourself to, if you practice on the dummy with this, almost imagine that you are going to use the pack a little bit anyway, like you're using the pack to push yourself away. I'm going to use the pack and push myself away. We're not doing that. I don't want you overcommitting, but what I want you to almost think of is using the pack before the step, because that's the practical, that's how it will be used. You'll pack before you complete your step. What I'm saying is don't try to complete the step before we do the pack. So I don't want to finish and then in. So it's got to be, whoa, pack, straight away, go for the pack, and then allow the feet to move. And while you're just down there, Ibrahim, take one of these. Okay, here we go. Hey. That's it. That's good there, Nick. Cover up and then through. I like it. Good. And what do we do if we get close? You hit first. You don't wait. That was polite, Nick. You took a long time. Ibrahim, that was great. There, you followed me in. You chased after me. Good. Because that's right. If I'm moving back, why am I moving back? What might I be doing? Good. Oh, have that one. If in doubt, get out. Conservation of energy, minimum movement. That's the two principles, key principles of Wing Chun. Minimum movement does not mean just being frozen, like in some pose. So allow yourself to move around a little bit. Okay, Ibrahim, just start shuffling a little bit. I know I've asked you to keep your feet as close to the ground, but in reality, we don't want to just stand still. It can be a lot more difficult trying to get that 0 to 60 thinking rather than just boxing down a gear. So if you're already in motion and we accelerate from that, then that can be more practical and better for us sometimes. Okay, I'm going to change this. Hands up. So you got your hands up. I'm going to give you a straight or a cross. That's it. So what I want you doing on this is we're going to block with that elbow and we're going to strike with the faxao. If you turn to your left, everyone, with this elbow in. So turn to your left, everyone. To your left side, sorry. So your right elbow is in. Other side. So that way, Ibrahim. Turn the other way, Ibrahim. That's it, yeah, because I'm going to do it mirrored. So stay there. So if I've punched here and you find yourself blocking on the inside, then I want a faxao. So chop, same hand. So no. From here, same hand. So correct. Stay there, please, everyone. If you find yourself on the outside here with that that jump or that high gown, whatever, I want you to give me the punch. So a punch with that same hand. So give me a right punch, Ibrahim. That's it. Don't try and square up again, because that goes to that same principle. You wouldn't be quick enough. If you've turned anyway here, you're already in that range. This is better for you. So when we turn, watch this, if you're on the inside, faxao. If you're on the outside, punch. That's what we're going with. Really simple. So hands up. Try and get on the outside if you can. But if you find yourself on the inside, do not change your mind. Just react. Hands up. Hands up, guys. Okay, whichever one's coming in. Straight away. Boom. Good. Go for the block straight away. Come on. First time we've met. This is your threat. You get one go at this. Good. Good. Straight away. Where do we go? Yes, perfect. Excellent, everyone. Yes, good. So if you're blocking on the inside of my arm, you will faxao. If you're on the outside, saw that one. When you block on the outside, don't use the faxao. Just the punch. No, Ibrahim, if you block on the outside of my arm, punch. So do that one again, Ibrahim. That's the one. Yes, good. Okay, come on, guys. Let's have it. That's good. Good. And if I stand my ground here, don't step in at that point because you don't have room. So this is the thing. If I move, step in. So that's it. Follow me. Let's have a third dimension to this, even though there's a screen in the way. If I step in here, bang, stay there. That's good. Yes, and a good kick to the knee. I saw that. That was nice. If it's here and I move, chase. Yes, chasing after me. That's brilliant. Good. Because I haven't moved back there, so you've smothered me. If you want to step in, try to imagine why you'd be stepping in. If I haven't moved at that point, bang, put something in, give a reason why I might have moved back and for you to chase me. So this is it. Otherwise, it just becomes very two-dimensional. Obviously, I'm taking away your option or your choice of what to do. And now we're back on, hands up. I know, well, that's it. You never know, do you? Good. So, good. Good. That's it. Standing your ground. Excellent. Brilliant. Perfect. I'm loving that. Did you just attack yourself there, Nick? Good. Yeah, that's all right. Yes, love it. That's fine. It's fine. It's fine. That's why we've got a guard. And just two more. Hands up straight away. Back to here, Ibrahim. Ah, do that one again. Same one, but with a punch. Yes. Okay. And last one. Yes. Well done. Well done. Never the last one. Great. Okay. Well, that was good. I enjoyed that. Enjoyed that. Yeah, that's wonderful. I had a bit of an idea of what I wanted to do tonight, but always prefer it when things just evolve and to turn up without anything, and then just see what's needed, what you guys want, what the people want. So I like that. Yes, some good questions. Anything further, or can we have a Sulam Tower? Nick, yeah, please go ahead. I love how you've always got questions.
Well, I'm thinking through the footwork that this session is so essential, because footwork is extremely important. And I think when we begin training, I think it's natural for us to not invest the time for it to become natural, or understand how natural it is. And so what would be your advice as we begin as beginners? Do we self-train this? Do we just kind of add it into everything that we do? 15 minutes here, then, because it becomes so difficult to kind of mix all of it together. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I have to say, initially, I would say trust in the program, really. With Wing Chun Online, the way that I've kind of tried to structure the lessons in the early days is to give a format in a particular way that I would teach a beginner course, and then to gradually bolt on the little extra bits until we get to a point where, again, a little bit like learning to drive, there's certain stages we need to understand initially what each of the pedals are about, how the gears work, understanding how the vehicle works, and understanding outside influences that are going to affect that, and what we might need to do, like braking sooner, or so a bit of an analogy going on there, eh? But and then when it gets to that point where you do learn and you know how to drive, then you start to make your own decisions. Is it safe for me to overtake this car at this point? It's like if somebody has not driven before or not know that, they'd be like, well, why don't you just overtake? Well, because there's two white lines here in the middle of the road, and this is telling me that not to overtake because there's a danger that I can't quite see yet. So, and the Wing Chun connection of that would be, again, it's, the Sambot Ma stepping back. Well, I can't see where my foot's landing, but when I understand the principle behind this, it'll start making more sense. So I know I started kind of going down a bit of a road there, but what I'm saying is that if you start initially by putting possible pressure on somebody by saying that we need to get this as natural as possible, as quickly as possible, it's kind of already done, really. So let's, Sulam Tao, I was talking about this the other day. Sulam Tao means little idea, and it's called that because we think of only one thing, developing that elbow energy. But the truth is, we can't do that or get to that that luxury to that point unless we know what the moves are. So we need to learn the shapes. We need to learn what a tan sao is and a foot sao and so on. Then we need to learn how to put these in sequence. When we start to remember that sequence, then we can start to add on. So, you know, although we might be able to kind of initially, you know, you can get somebody and you can push against them and ask them to resist, and then try and encourage that muscle resistance to dissipate. So we start to draw on something else. You know, we can do that. But in order for some people to train that solo, which is Sulam Tao, they're going to need to understand the principle. And in order to follow that principle, they're going to need to know the shapes in order to create that principle. So I think I wouldn't say there's a specific time. You know, I will tell people that basics are essential, but at some point you need to relax those basics in order to make your Wing Chun work. At what point those basics should be or can be allowed to relax and should be relaxed is going to differ really for everybody. I think one of the things that is the biggest problem is that people will either not want to move on because they'll feel like, well, I don't know, you know, my teacher's not said that I should move on, or I don't know if I should move on, or maybe I should dedicate myself to Sulam Tao. To be fair, those people, very, very few and far between. The biggest issue is often with the instructor, who will say that a person isn't ready, or that they must strictly stick to these basics. And unfortunately, often this can be because the instructor wants to kind of get more money out of the person, you know, and like, oh, can I learn second form, Chum Kyu, or oh, you're not ready for that yet. Oh, okay. You know, oh, I'd love to learn the wooden dummy. No, not yet. And the Biu, the third form, is covered and shrouded in mystery, you know, and it's like, just teach the damn thing. I don't, you know, if somebody's, don't get someone straight into like the knife form if they haven't done Sulam Tao, because, you know, the purpose of the knife form is that the knives are an extension of your arms. And the idea behind that being that if your tan sao is slightly off, that's going to be exaggerated by holding the knife in it. So we would need to know Sulam Tao to know what the knife position should be. You know, if you, the traditional way of learning would be like Sulam Tao, Chum Kyu, and then the Zhong and the knives, and then Biu and the pole kind of thrown in at the end. But if somebody knows something and they can perform it adequately, then they should move on, because it's the second form that will make you better understand the first. It's the wooden dummy that will make you better understand the Chum Kyu and the Sulam Tao, and so on. So it has like a drip effect feeding back until ultimately you learn all the forms. What do? Do you stop then? No, you don't. You go back to you start again at Sulam Tao with such a fresh outlook on, wow, all these different things, how it all changes. And we end up creating this cycle to prevent somebody, or to deter them, or try and kind of dissuade them from following that path. I think it's a terrible thing. So we should encourage it, but as teachers, we kind of also need to think, well, you know, the person is really, really struggling with a turn, or really don't know this. So encouraging them to completely relax their thinking behind that footwork at this stage might be more detrimental than helpful. You know, so there's a little bit of give and take. I would definitely not hold back that information, you know, because sometimes it can be really helpful, you know, if and it might be, you know, you could easily also say, well, your turning stances are very good, so we're not going to do Chum Kyu. Yeah, but then maybe learning the Chum Kyu could better your turning stance, you know. So it's like, you know, Yip Man said that there are no secrets in Kung Fu, just time and practice. And I think when people put secrets on or hold people down, then, you know, that's or keep people down, that's not a good thing. That's a really good question, and it's an honest question. And I think really to teach people the initial stances, Yiji Kim Ma, allow them to feel strong and connected, and if they push against and you can have some resistance, I think at that point you've nailed the basic stance. If you can turn and comfortably move your head from one place to the other by choice, not really deep, not sitting back. Remember a turning stance, if I turn, I want my right buttock over my right heel, my left buttock over my left heel. People either will sit too far back or they'll twist too much. When you get the base of the spine over the heel, that's too much of a turn. So less, 45 to 45, keep that simple. When we have that simplified turning stance and it's comfortable, we are often running Biu Mar, understanding the principle of short steps, wide stance. You know, it's shorter than you think. So this is what we're looking at, short and wide. Keep your hips and your upper body facing the same direction, facing forwards, and small steps, weight 50-50. If somebody can do those steps, bingo. I think you know your footwork is done at that point. We then start to you could even, you know, you should be looking at some dummy work at that point, understanding how we can move around. When I work the first section, look at what we've got in there. Biu Mar, 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 and again coming back. And the principle of this one as well, even as I step up, what am I doing from here? If I look there, I'm effectively taking a Biu Mar step. From here, I take a Biu Mar step, but it's brought me square on again for my second section. So yeah, learn the step, the positions, learn how to flow with them a little bit. When they start to kind of feel comfortable with it, encourage allowing them to explore a little bit more themselves. And that's when you're going to get that 50% from your teacher and the 50% from themselves. And that's when we're going to really make the best of our students. And we learn together, you know, that's the thing. I love I think it was Confucius that said, the man who claims to know everything is a fool, for his learning has ceased. And I think that's, you know, when you stop learning as a teacher, I think, you know, that's probably time to give it a rest, really. Guys, great. Next time I see you, we'll do Sulam Tam and Chung Q, and I want to start looking into some Biu G at the elbows and everything. Guys, thank you so much. Keep training, and I'll see you at the next session. Thank you, everybody. Bless.